All right, we're ready.
You added the test monitor?
It isn't.
Okay, great. Yeah. See it.
All right, it's 6 o'clock, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Isla Vista Community Services District Board of Directors. I'd like to announce the meeting is being recorded. Jonathan, can you do roll call?
Director Brandt.
Here.
Aguilar is not here yet. Director Bertrand's absent as well. Director Freeman.
Here.
Flaherty.
Here.
Topliff.
Here.
Deschler.
Here.
All right, before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Chumash people who are the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Chumash elders, past, present, and future, who call this place, Anasqueo, the land that Isla Vista sits upon, their home. We are proud to continue their tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Chumash community for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. With that, we're going to move to the consent agenda. Do any directors have items they'd like to pull? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll
Director
move
Topliff.
approval of the consent agenda.
Motion made by Topliff. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Flaherty. Is there any public comment on the consent agenda?
None that I see.
Seeing none, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Director Brandt.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Topliff.
Yes.
Flaherty.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Deschler.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Next, we're going to move to the public comment period. This is the time for any member of the public to speak on any item that is not on today's agenda. If you have a comment on something that's not on today's agenda, please hit the raise hand button on Zoom and we'll call on you. Any public comment? Any hands raised, Jonathan?
Not seeing it. Nope.
Okay, we will close the public comment period then and move to the first action item, which is the letter of support for the 101 multimodal corridor project.
Great. So we've been working with SBCAG has been a big part of our mobility plan efforts for the last 2 years. And so we've been in close communication with them. And we got recently a request from Lauren Bianchi-Clement, who's here with us today, to consider a letter of support for the 101 multimodal corridor project. And not every project that SBCAG is working on relates to our district advocacy policy, but we felt this one did, since it is about different ways of transit to get to this part of the county from different parts of the state or even within the county. So we felt that this project did align with the principles of our mobility plan efforts of helping residents travel to and from Isla Vista. So we think it would be something good for us to support. And Lauren is here with us today if you want to say anything, or anyone has any questions about the project.
Yeah, thank you, President Brandt and board members. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here on behalf of SBCAG. Certainly can open the floor to questions, but this letter of support is specific to the Senate Bill 1 Cycle 3 grant applications as we work as a big part of our strategy to fully fund the Highway 101 project and associated related projects there. So included in this application is 6 electric bus replacements for Santa Barbara MTD. So it's replacing gas-powered buses with fully electric buses because we feel like it complements the work that's already ongoing with adding an HOV link to the 101. Is creating more efficiencies for transit, for people to take transit. We know the communities that you serve are dependent upon public transit, and this is a 15-year effort that is trying to relieve congestion through multimodal approaches on the 101 between Ventura and Santa Barbara County. So I welcome any questions that you have. A lot is outlined in the letter associated with this grant application, and really appreciate your continued support of this project.
Excellent. Thank you, Director Bianchi-Clement, for sharing that information with us. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Director Freeman.
First question I have is that there was a some kind of Highway 101 widening project that was about like maybe 2 years ago. There was a letter that I believe that we were, was it for the law that gave the funding for this that we had submitted in order to, does this ring a bell with anybody?
Yes,
I remember.
I know exactly
Okay.
what you're talking about. If you would
Okay.
like me to answer.
Yeah, could you actually, because I remember voting yes on that, which because of some complicated reason, because normally I would vote no on this specific kind of action, but I voted yes on that. And so if this is related, that's, I should probably vote yes on it too.
Yeah, it's actually totally related. So Senate Bill 1 is released in cycles. So as many transportation funding, as you know, comes either annual or a certain cycle. So 2 years ago, we applied for cycle 2 of Senate Bill 1. Our project wasn't ready yet. It wasn't shovel ready, what they determined as shovel ready. We applied early to try to see if we can get in there early and get early funding. We had a lot of lessons learned from that application, and so we weren't successful. But we were successful in cycle 1. We got $184 million in cycle 1 application. And so we believe that the time is now. We have used local dollars to get us to this point where we can get through design and permitting. And so we are considered shovel ready for this project. And so a lot of work has been done. This is part of Measure A, which you may know is the transportation sales tax measure that passed in 2008 with over 79% of the vote countywide. There's a pot of money for the South Coast, a pot of money for the North County, but on the top, voters voted to give money to the 101 project and the associated local improvements. And so that's what we are seeing and we are using to be able to get us to this point to be shovel ready.
Yeah, great. I'm usually against highway widening projects because, as far as I understand, all the studies have shown that when you widen highways, it actually ends up making it take longer for everyone to get places, and most of that slack ends up going towards causing people to feel like they can live even further away from where they're commuting to, and therefore we end up with many more highway miles traveled. But there was something about the application 2 years ago, which I'm not seeing here. Like, nothing's jumping out and making me going like, oh yeah, this one's okay. But I remember something did 2 years ago. And I was like, I am going to vote yes on this because you had this glorious paragraph in there. And if it's the same project, I'll just vote yes on it.
Yeah. And can I speak to that for just a second? A lot of people view, widening, and I hear you on that. And that's something that we think about a lot. And this to be different. So when you talk about widening a lane or widening a freeway, a lot of that in Los Angeles or urban areas, it's taking people's property, and most often in disadvantaged communities. That's not happening here. This is within the right of way. We're not taking any additional property. It's happening through Montecito and Santa Barbara. But what it is helping the communities that we know housing is an issue, right, in the South Coast. We don't want people to live far away from their jobs. But the reality is that we need to have the infrastructure that also complements work that we're already doing with the state of California. And so until we have that housing and that affordable housing, we also need to make sure we have the infrastructure that improves people's lives. And so what is the thoughtfulness that the taxpayers had in Santa Barbara County had was we put multimodal as part of that was baked into this project from the beginning. And that was the lane and the train philosophy as part of Measure A. And that is looking at commuter train efforts as well as the HOV lane during the peak hour. And so having that now carpool lane is going to make it more efficient for our buses, not only for Santa Barbara MTD, but also for the Coastal Express from Ventura County. And then for the freight and it really does improve people's lives here and there. So it's an important complement effort of the work that we're doing with housing. It does not take other people's property. And it has wide support in the community.
It's not a problem-taking concern. It's that if you add another lane, you end it after, so therefore they actually live further away, and it actually weirdly, all the studies showed it makes there be more congestion somehow.
Fair.
But you've defended it. I'm happy. I do have a question since we have you here. One issue that sometimes comes up with infrastructure projects is that there will be funding in order to add, like make the highway bigger, but then there won't necessarily be an ongoing maintenance funding for additional three years down the line, or maybe it's not, maybe it's 10 years down the line to have to redo it at the increased capacity. So since this sounds like it's coming from a one-off set of funds for doing this expansion within this Assembly bill or Senate bill, is there a plan for how the maintenance of this work will be done in the future?
You're asking all my really favorite questions, so thank you. So this is part of, so right now we have, the bridges and everything on our highway is built to 1950 standards. So we're upgrading all the operational and safety improvements on the highway. So already you get some significant improvements that way, both with the bridges and the pavement, and then also the under crossings and the bike and ped improvements and that kind of stuff. But if we're speaking specifically to the highway improvements, there is a 40-year life pavement that is going on. It's called continuous reinforcement pavement. So when you're on the highway, you hear the bump to the bump to the bump to the bump. We're not having that. It's a very seamless pavement. So you're not getting water that goes into the grooves of the highway that can go and erode the highway and break it down. So it's a 40-year lifespan pavement. So that reduces the maintenance, which is better for Caltrans, right? Because they want people off the highway and they don't want to put their maintenance workers at risk. And they also want to reduce the congestion from maintenance. So there's that. And then there's also all new irrigation that is going to be throughout, that's remote controlled and censored, and smart irrigation throughout the corridor.
Thank you so much for the extremely comprehensive and very useful answers to these questions. I'm prepared to vote yes. Okay.
Thank you, Director Freeman. Any other questions from the board? Well, I'm not seeing any, so I'll just highlight one thing that is in the letter that I think is really important, which is that the project is projected to help reduce greenhouse gases through a variety of incentives for carpooling, but also due to reducing idling due to the unnecessary congestion that happens now in the current state of the freeway. So I really think that it's good to include that in the letter. And I always love to highlight and am a strong supporter of any improvements to our public transit system, because Isla Vista residents are the lion's share of the increase in public transit ridership that has occurred over the last 5 years. It's because the next generation is much more excited to use public transit. They understand the connection between using transit and the convenience it provides with their values of climate justice. And so I think it's really great that we can help support this. I also want to say a big thank you to SBCAG and you, Lauren, for helping facilitate a recent meeting between the State Transportation Commission and our staff here in Isla Vista. I know that I understand they were here in conjunction with this project, as well as taking an interest in our community, which I think is really great. I heard about this from Jonathan. I think maybe we'll get a more thorough report on how that went later on, but I just want to say thank you for facilitating that, because it sounded like it was a really great meeting, and there was a lot of good ideas exchanged. So thank you for bringing this, and I'm excited to support it. All right, any other questions or comments from the board? All right, is there any public comment on this item? Please hit the raise hand button or put something in the chat. Nothing, all right. We'll close public comment and we will entertain a motion. Director Topliff?
I move to send this letter in support.
All right, made by Topliff. Is there a second?
I will second.
Seconded by Freeman. With that, we will go to a roll call vote.
Dr. Brandt?
Yes.
Dr. Freeman?
Yes.
Dr. Topliff?
Yes.
Dr. Flaherty?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
Dr. Deshler?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you again, and we will move on to the next item on our agenda. And the next item that we have, sorry, I actually clicked off of the agenda, is a letter to the Santa Barbara County Arts Commission regarding the community center mural.
Right, so as I think I reported a couple meetings ago that the mural that we had painted in the spring, that we had a student project to paint a mural for the community center. We did look to the Arts Commission to get approval for installation of the mural, and Maya was able to present and get unanimous support for it. And just the final step for us to be able to put it up is to submit this letter to them saying that we are taking full responsibility for the mural. It's really only intended to be up 3 to 6 months. And so that's going to be for approximately January through June of next year. So it shouldn't be much of a cost to us because it is only going to be up for 6 months before we rotate out to another mural.
Excellent. All right. Any questions from the board?
I have a very
Go ahead.
small question, but is this addressed to our previous intern or I don't know?
Oh no, so it is the same name.
Okay.
This is the person who's the head of the Arts Commission.
Okay,
for the
okay.
county.
So I was gonna say I didn't
Yeah.
think her name had an H at the end.
Yeah,
But okay,
yeah,
we're
no.
good. That's all I had. I support.
Excellent. Director Freeman.
Just to verify, we're talking about the very short, like, thank you, we will do this letter.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 2 paragraphs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And just a quick question, and you might have mentioned this, so I might have been distracted right now, but is the mural, will it be installed on temporary or not temporary, but movable sort of canvas, or is it going directly onto the wall?
It's already painted on a canvas, so we're gonna bolt it onto the wall and then move it. And we have a local company ready and willing to do it.
Excellent. Well, this is really incredible work. I think this is really fulfilling a core thing that was promised by the creation of our district, which is graffiti abatement through public art. And so it's really cool to see more public art going out in Isla Vista over the last couple of years. And I'm happy that this will, I think, help to provide more. So I'll be looking forward to it. Any other questions from the board? All right, seeing none, is there any public comment on this item? Not seeing any. I'll bring it back to the board. Does anyone want to make a motion? Director Flaherty.
Looking at the correct, I move approval of the letter to the Santa Barbara County Arts Commission regarding upkeep of the Isla Vista Community Center mural.
Made by Flaherty. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Topliff. With that, let's go to a roll call vote.
Director Brent,
Yes.
Director Freeman,
Yes.
Director Topliff,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Aguilar,
Yes.
Dashler.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. And with that, we'll close that item. And we have buzzed through our agenda very quickly. We're going to move to item 5, which is reports. First, reports from members of the board. Director Freeman.
Last night was the meeting of the Santa Barbara County local chapter of the California Special Districts Association in the Isla Vista Community Center. And I was able to, for that meeting, coordinate usage of the parking lot with the almost called the parking district, with the Parks District. And it was really convenient, I will say, having that parking lot. So I also had an opportunity afterwards. I figured that the easiest thing to do to coordinate splitting my cleanup time is I simply brought a yoga mat and attended Yoga Mondays, and I survived. It was quite difficult though for me. And there were a lot of people who do Yoga Mondays, and it seems like they really like it. They really enjoy it. So seeing the community center in action in that way was really fun.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. That is really cool. And yeah, yoga can be quite a workout, huh? Yeah.
Yes, it can.
Any other reports from members of the board?
I just will report on the Isla Vista Recreation and Park District meeting that I attended on October 13th. And they had some news about their 2 renovation rehabilitation projects. One is Pardall Gardens, And they're 30% complete on design right now, and they're hoping to have it all designed by the end of the month. And they're also hoping to approve it at their November board meeting. And then they want to start work by June of next year. And the grant that they've gotten for that work has a expiration date of December of next year. So that's when they absolutely have to be done. So they're looking forward to getting that going. And then the other one is Children's Park, which is a lot more extensive and is going to go on for quite some time. So they are creating a logo and their own website for Children's Park so that they can keep the community informed as they move ahead. And one of the things that I thought was very interesting is one of the partners there is the Sansom Diabetes Research Institute. And so they're going to have a veggie demonstration garden and do a lot of programming there about healthy lifestyles. So I thought that would be a great enhancement to the community. They're hoping to have the design complete in spring of 2023, begin construction a year later, and then they have to be done by June 30th of 2025. So that's going to go on for quite some time. And then they've hired a new recreation coordinator named Sophia Lake, who's a recent UCSB graduate. They're excited about. And then they're going like crazy, getting ready for Halloween. We saw how we lost our meeting room downstairs to the equipment laboratory, and there's a lot of equipment going in. So that's kind of been a big effort for them. They also reported on the coastal cleanup that went on across the state on September 17th. And statewide, we had 27,185 volunteers. At the IVRPD site here in Isla Vista, they had 59 volunteers and hauled out 295 pounds of trash and 125 pounds of recyclables. So that they thought that was a very successful event. And they're continuing to do their Adopt a Block. And it's a drop-in basis if anybody wants to help work on that, on Fridays from 1 to 4, and also on Saturdays from 10 to 1 until early December. And or if you have a group that wants to get together and make an effort, that they'll make a reservation for you to do that with them. So that's some of the stuff that's going on with our sister governmental agency here in Isla Vista.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing, Director Topliff. Any other reports from members of the board? I'll give a quick report. I participated in the Halloween Safety Town Hall organized by the Associated Students External Vice President for Local Affairs, discussing a variety of topics, including police presence for the Halloween weekend that is planned, as well as the surveillance camera plans. The town hall had participation from outgoing Lieutenant Morris and current Lieutenant Tesla from the Sheriff's Office, as well as the PIO for the Sheriff's Office, Raquel Zick, and UCSB Dean of Students, Katya Armstead. And I thought that it was a good, robust discussion. It was, I think, a great forum to hear a lot of the concerns that I think many of us have been hearing in the community directly from students and residents, and there was good feedback shared. So I was happy to participate in that. I have not heard any update on if there's been a decision made about any of the safety related things related to law enforcement or cameras that came up, but we'll share when I hear that. I was very excited to volunteer for the mobility pop-up organized by us as part of the STEP grant process, and want to give a huge shout out to Sydney and Fiona for all of their hard work putting that pop-up together. It was really cool to see all the different transportation options. I don't know which one I liked the best, but I liked all of them, and found myself looking at things like the crosswalk and the bike boxes and thinking, well, we should just keep them here because they look so good. And it was great to talk with residents, and I felt that there was an appreciation from people that we were looking to make improvements in the community, and the format of sort of showing them on a temporary basis what it could be was very helpful in helping people visualize the different opportunities that there are. So just a huge shout out to all the hard work that Sydney and Fiona put in to really pull that off. Was a great event. I think that with that, just want to make sure that is the end of my report. All right, we'll move to reports from standing and ad hoc committees. Any committee meetings? Don't think so. Okay, good.
I'm curious if there's a report, not from a meeting, but if there is there an update on anything going on with parking committee that would be outside the scope of the meeting?
You all should have received the invite for the meeting next week with UCSB on funding, and that's the big.
That's the only update.
That's
Is the
the big
building
update.
meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good to hear that that's happening. But we'll move to report from district council.
Hello, everyone. Nothing to report on my end. Thank you.
Excellent.
Carrie frantically took out her phone. I'm presuming just the parking committee is doing
Yeah.
that.
I was like, I didn't see
Yeah.
You think it's in there?
No. It's just Jay, Marcos, and Kirsten.
Oh, I'm not on the committee.
No.
That's why I
Yeah.
wasn't saying it. Because I do miss things, you
No.
know, much as I hate to admit it.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Nothing missed.
All right. Next, we'll move to your report from general manager.
I'll turn it over to Sydney first for the community engagement update.
Thanks, Jonathan. Let me open that really quickly. All right. I'll try to keep it super brief. Oops, if it'll go. Okay. So I'll just start off with a couple community center updates. Maya has been busy trying to get feedback from the community around whether or not they would like to see a really free market happen. So we have a survey available in English and Spanish. I'll drop those in the chat. Feel free to share them. We're also collecting responses from people that are interested in being contacted for future entertainment opportunities, like entertainment calls for events at the community center. I'll also drop that in the chat. And I know the IVB team, I know Jen is on the call, but I just wanted to share a couple of photos, but they've been super busy out in the community, working on a number of projects that you can see here, the graffiti abatement and also restoring art along the way, which has been very popular and really exciting to see. And then, as Spencer mentioned, we had our Pardall pop-up event last week, which was really successful. Here's just a few photos from the morning. We were out there bright and early setting up each of the different installments. And then we were able to hear really valuable feedback throughout the event. We had 33 really incredible volunteers and community partners that came out to help us capture a bunch of information. We also received 121 survey responses. And then I had a number of people come up just asking how they can get involved with this project, which was really cool. So I'm excited to get in contact with them. So yeah, just a huge shout out to all of our community partners that helped plan the event, volunteer day of. And you'll see we even had our neighbors from Friendship Manor come out. There was like 6 lovely ladies that attended our event as well. And then our Halloween door hangers have been going out all weekend with all of our events, community and safety resources, messages from St. George Youth Center. So those are still going out. We have a couple more walk packs to go tomorrow, but those should all be out and ready to go. We've been highlighting all of our events that we sponsored through our Halloween grant program from our haunted house that's happening at St. George Youth Center on Friday. We have the 50th anniversary haunted pumpkin patch that IVRPD is hosting all weekend, starting on Saturday. And then Santa Barbara Hillel is hosting a multicultural Shabbat dinner on Friday as well. And then we have our event. Maya's been super busy planning our Halloween event that we're really excited about, the Spooky Spectacular on Friday from 3 to 10 at the community center. we'll have a number of events. They're all listed here, but we have hay rides planned, games. We have a bunch of pumpkins getting delivered, a silent disco, and then of course our costume contest that each will have prizes. And then the 18 and over costume contest will have a grand prize of $1,000 among some other prizes as well. And this year we did outline a couple of guidelines for the costume contest, just ensuring that costumes are culturally appropriate, and if people use reused or upcycled costume, that's even better. And then we'll end the night with a DJ for the ecstatic dance portion from 8 to 10. And thank you to Ethan, who's going to be our MC for both of our costume contests. And then just a quick Compost Collective update. I didn't have a chance to put in the images, but they are doing their pumpkin composting this year as well. And then their next community collab day is on November 7th at St. Mike's from 2 to 5. That's it for me.
Cool. Thank you, Sydney. So moving on, I guess I'll just turn it over to Jenna. She's also here. I know you wanted to share some things, Jenna, on Ivy Beautiful.
Hi. Well, one exciting thing that I can mention is we've gotten permission to go paint the Edison utility boxes in town. I know that most of them have graffiti on them, and that's been an issue for a while now. But I was able to receive the paint color that matches most of the utility boxes. So by hopefully tomorrow, we'll start painting the graffiti or covering up the graffiti on the Edison utility boxes. So hopefully next meeting, I'll have a lot of before and after photos of that. So that's awesome. And then we have been able to complete 2 more of the electrical boxes that have murals on them. We're able to paint over the graffiti on them. And we're working on more this week and next. And my team has finally been trained and started using the electric bike. So I know that this is just going to elevate our program and make it so that we are able to tackle so much more. So I'm really excited.
Thank you, Jenna. Yeah, I'll just give a shout out for both of them, and especially the mobility pop-up. We got so many compliments from community partners on how well that event went. So it is a great team effort, Sydney leading the charge. On Compost Collective, we're going to present at the November 9th meeting some updates on program goals and structure and activities of where we see it going now. Thank you to everybody who filled out the survey. One thing that's been coming up and we've been speaking with Jamie about on the legalities and how we implement it is having a bucket rental fee. So that's something we'll bring up at the next meeting. But essentially, if residents want to rent a bucket to do their composting at home, the buckets cost like $10 to $15 and they can be easily lost or stolen. So a little deposit of $10 would help us recoup it if we don't get it back at the end. So that's one idea that's has risen to the top, or one towards the top of the ideas of how to still run part of the program. Community center, like you heard, everyone is very busy working on the Halloween event. There's so much going on. I think the last 2 weeks since the last meeting, between the pop-up and Halloween events, a lot of staff focus has gone to both of those things. So lots going on. And just in related to the parking lot for the community center, we actually do have a plan. We did do a parking lot swap with IVRPD for Halloween. So we're using the one in front of the community center. They're using the one in front of the community room. And then we do have a plan to meet afterwards, talk about parking lots and things like that, and how they relate to other like outdoor events that might be happening better at the parking lot than a park. So we're going to be talking with them about that after Halloween is over and we can recover from that. With buildings themselves, we did submit our letter to the county regarding our negotiations. So they are in receipt. We haven't gotten a response yet, but it hasn't been too long. And then for the acoustics project, I was waiting to move forward to see what was going to happen with this potential donor we had. And it does seem like a really positive and fruitful long-term funding relationship we can establish. but I don't think we'll be able to get this project funded in the timeline we want to get this project done. Like we might not be able to get funding from them for a while, but it does seem like a priority to get this project done sooner. So it would be, I think it's a good relationship for us to build because they do want to focus more on Isla Vista, but I think we might not be able to get the acoustics projects funded anymore, but we'll see. I'm gonna keep working on it. Yeah, and for the STEP grant, we're working a lot right now on getting focus groups scheduled. So tomorrow we're doing business owners and property owners, and we've got a bunch, 6 others coming up in the next couple of weeks, whether it's students or employees who work in the area, transportation agencies, homeowners, families. We have different groups split up to hello, what you can come in, yeah. So that's what we're doing with the focus groups. And then I don't know if I did forward it to the board, but we did win $7 million. Not we, the county did, with the alternative transportation project. Our visit when the California Transportation Commission came to Isla Vista was reported to be very helpful in securing that grant from the state. So this it wasn't successful 2 years ago when we last supported it, but this time we were very involved in the application process, and our survey data from the STEP grant was included as part of the application process. So we were pretty integral in this. And so that's $7 million from the state and $2 million from the county that will now be going to alternative transportation projects in IV. So
all of the money into Isla Vista. Oh,
yeah,
that's very nice.
it's pretty huge. It's
Yeah,
a big deal. It's a big deal. And I could send you all the ideas again that we last had them on our agenda a while ago, but it's a lot of traffic calming, curb modifications, and just different things to make transportation safer in Isla Vista for pedestrians and bikers. So that's huge news. And I'm sure our STEP grant results will help inform the future funding of this too. So it's going to be great. Next, I mentioned parking already. We're going to have our meeting next Wednesday. So thank you, Director Deschler, for getting that set up for us. So we'll be meeting with UCSB leadership that will be deciding on funding for the project. All our grant funded programs seem to be going well, and the door hangers out Sydney mentioned already. I just wanted to note an update that we're going to make on our website in regards to the door hanger. Essentially, we've listed on it and on our website that the Halloween ordinance is this Friday through Monday. It goes a little past it. So we had listed those dates because that's the primary enforcement dates from IV Foot Patrol. That's when the focus is going to be. Technically, tomorrow it does start, but they're not going to be out there the same way they'd be out there on Friday or Saturday looking to enforce that. So it's a little error we made, and we're going to update our website to reflect that. So I just wanted to note that for the board. Last thing is just a little bit of bad news. I was not able to identify a candidate for the management assistant search. So we did have we did get a large enough pool. So it wasn't that we got no applications. We actually did get significant number, but we didn't find somebody that would be a good fit for the job. So we are going to reopen that and do a better job searching, see if we can put it in different places where we might find the right person. So that's something Shirley and I are going to be working on now. And then last thing is, I just want to wrap up this thread from a couple months ago, which is we had the employee policies that we wanted to put in place. We had looked at them as a board. We had some edits. Our prior consultant was supposed to make those edits. We never got that. I'm going to just do it myself now and submit it. But another thing we never got, as well, I've mentioned a few times, is the evaluation for me and how that process should go. So we just aren't going to have that. I'm going to write it off now. At this point, I've not had any of my emails responded to. So we already have an ad hoc established for my review. So maybe that committee should meet, whether with me or without me, to determine next steps, whether we want to go for another consultant who can produce that for us, whether we just want to produce it ourselves. If we want to just do what we did last year, we can just decide that. But I think we should give up on this and try to find a new way forward. So that's my report.
And is there a committee that would be an appropriate fit for that?
We had an ad hoc committee formed, I think, in January. I'll pull up the membership. I believe it was Directors Aguilar, Deschler, and Brandt who were on it. But yeah.
Well, it does seem like we're not being fair to you by having this linger so long. So I feel like this is something that we should really get on right away.
No, it's no problem with me. I mean, we were promised this memo to help restructure our way to do this or even establish a way to do this, and we just never got it. So I think at this point I'm calling it in terms of I
Yeah,
don't
no,
think
I
we'll
think
get it.
that's a
Yeah.
wise decision,
Yeah.
but then I think we need to follow up and
Yeah.
get on it.
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, that's it for me.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that report. Any other questions? Director Deschler?
I wanted to ask a question about the alternative, about the $7 million. And the question I wanted to ask is, that's huge. It's a huge amount of money for Isla Vista. I just can't believe it. And so I guess what I wondered is, who should we thank? Who should the IVCSD thank in terms of like the legislative visit, or that's all I was thinking. And then is there going to be a press release, or has there already been one? Or is that something going to be done with the county?
Yeah, so we just found out on Friday. The news was just released a couple days ago. I know that so it's Santa Barbara County Public Works who led the application process and got it submitted. They worked on the application themselves, but SBCAG was also involved in making the site visit happen because it was for another project. But it was nice to just bring them into IV so they could see what this other project could also, how they could link together essentially. So SBCAG, County Public Works, and the awardees was the Transportation Commission. So we should definitely make our thanks. And I don't know about a press release yet, but I'm sure the Public Works Department may be working on that, and we can connect with them.
Thanks for sharing that. As a follow-up to that, do you have the final grant application that was submitted that you can send around to us so that we can take a look at everything that was included in it?
I'll ask Mark Friedlander for that, but I'm sure we can get it pretty quickly.
Excellent. Yeah. And we should definitely send a thanks to Mark and to Director McGulpin at Public Works because even just in some of my communication with them, they've been very invested in this project and really helped move it across the finish line in a big way. It was such a huge amount of money for alternative transportation at Isla Vista. So incredible work on that part.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we will do all that.
Excellent. I had just a quick follow-up question on the parking lot swap. Have we been in contact with the clinic and CAPS about that too, or are they impacted by that at all?
It's going to happen over the weekend, so it shouldn't be an issue.
Gotcha. Okay, and neither of them are open on weekends.
Not at the level that it'll impact. Yeah, the clinic is open on the weekend, but not too busy. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Any other questions from the board, Director Deschler?
I have one more question. I'm sorry, I forgot. So Jonathan, when you were talking about the process, oh Lord, are you hearing me twice?
We're not.
Okay.
We're not.
Okay, Jonathan, when you were talking about the process with the employee the memo, and you were talking about your review, was that what you were talking about? Because I feel like I may have volunteered to do some type of review and maybe I dropped the ball. So I'm just trying to remember what I volunteered for to see if there should be some process by which you receive feedback from the board absent of this this memo that didn't get produced.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, okay. I'm unmuted. So what I had said is, so our policies for all of our employees besides me, that was something we were almost done. It's 5% left to finish. We never received the last 5%. I can complete that myself and get it to the board for approval. But then separately, there was supposed to be an addition to it about the general manager, like just an additional policy that's about the GM. And we never got that part at all, like zero amount of it. So we were waiting on that to then give that to our ad hoc committee, which you are one of the members of, to then use that to then conduct the process. But now I think the ad hoc committee should meet to determine what we want to do instead, whether it's to get a policy produced from somewhere else, come up with one ourselves, do what we just did last year, or another option. So.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're not dropping the ball in terms of providing you with constructive feedback. So, but it sounds like this subcommittee or this adjunct committee will determine kind of next steps.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Super. Got it.
All right. Any other questions for General Manager's report? Director Flaherty?
I just had a comment and I wanted to echo the thank yous for Sydney and Fiona and all the volunteers and everyone who worked to put together the pop-up. It was awesome seeing that. I stopped by before work and there was a lot of excitement about it in the community, and that was just really exciting and encouraging to see. And so yeah, just huge congrats to staff and thank you so much for all the work of everyone, volunteers, everyone who stopped by.
Thank you. It's one of the coolest things we've probably ever done. So.
Awesome. So with that, we are going to adjourn the regular meeting and we are going to convene the special meeting. So I will call the meeting to order and announce the meeting is continuing to be recorded. And let's do roll call.
Director Brent.
Here.
Director Aguilar.
Here.
Director Freeman.
Here.
Director Flaherty.
Here.
Topliff.
Here.
Deschler.
Here.
In the interest of time, since we already went through the land acknowledgement, I will spare the redundancy and we'll move to public comment period. Any public comment on any items that are not on today's agenda? Anything in the chat? Any raised hands?
We have a representative from the EVP LA's office. Maybe they would like to introduce themselves.
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Rosalze. Sorry I couldn't unfortunately come to the meeting today, but I just got appointed as the community service district coordinator. So I'm just gonna be like coming to the meetings with you guys. And I also wanted to shout out that next week we're holding a voter registration fair. I think it's November 1st, and I wanted to share the information with you guys if maybe you could share it with other people as well. But it's gonna be just mainly to get people like registered to vote, things like that. So I'll put the link in the chat. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing, Osaze, and thank you for being here. Any other comments from members of the public?
We did have another person introducing themselves from the IVCRC.
Yeah, I can introduce myself really quick. I'm Vanessa. I'm just one of IVCRC's liaisons, just sitting in at these meetings and taking notes and stuff. And yeah, not really much to say, but thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here, Vanessa. It's nice to meet you. All right, so we'll close the public comment period, and our one action item for the special meeting is the resolution 22-13. This is the AB 361 approval. This is the resolution for us to continue to use the remote meeting rules. And I think it just didn't make it onto the regular agenda.
It did not. And so my apologies on that, having to do the second meeting. And I think it was noted by Ross at the last board meeting, but this is almost the last time we get to do this. It expires February 28th. So we've got November, December, and January, February left.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks for sharing that. Any other discussion from the board on this? Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it to the board and entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution 22-13.
Made by Freeman. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Topliff. Any further discussion? Let's go to a roll call vote.
Director Brent.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Topliff.
Yes.
Flaherty.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
And Deschler.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Okay, we will waive reports since we just went through some great reports from board members and staff. And our next meeting date will take place on November 9th, 2022 at 6 p.m. on Zoom and in the community room. I will make a note that that meeting date is not our regular Tuesday meeting date. It is the following Wednesday. So the second Wednesday of the month of November. This is a one-time switch that we approved at our last board meeting. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Made by Freeman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Flaherty. Any public comment? All right, let's go to a roll call vote.
Director Brandt,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Topliff,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Aguilar,
Yes.
Deschler, yes.
Beckman, yes.
All right, motion passes. Well, thanks everyone. We'll see you on November 9th.